The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Stargate.
Janet West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
All right, before we get into this episode here, I wanted to cover some exciting news for Stargate fans, is that the drawn-out and long-going acquisition of MGM by Amazon is now complete. It was a $8.45 billion purchase. And they've been caught up with the FTC and all those different legal things they get into when they're purchasing companies of that size. And the fact that it's like $8 billion, I feel like at that point money is just meaningless. So that's a
billion here, a billion here, a billion there. Suddenly you have real money.
Right.
I mean,
you could equip 1/3 of Ukrainians never mind, just got it.
Well, that's not, yeah. I was gonna say it's 10 times more than what Biden is sending over this year for more help there. So I mean,
right.
No, it is incredible the kind of money that they're talking about and things like this. And of course, this isn't just, they've bought a business with, offices and employees and desks and all that stuff. This is also buying all the resources like the IPs, like Stargate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Stargate, James Bond, I guess Rocky and the Addams Family, and The Handmaid's Tale. Some of the ones they list in this article.
Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
Don't forget Legally Blonde.
Boy.
Yeah.
Nice. There we go.
So now we can wait for the Stargate Legally Blonde crossover. Is that what you're saying?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I want to see that. So, the big hope of a lot of Stargate fans is this means that Amazon is going to be looking to reboot that IP for their streaming service. And it really seems like it's ripe for that kind of thing. That's exactly what they're looking for. Like with Disney buying all the Star Wars IPs and rolling that out. And then we have Paramount Plus with all the Star Trek stuff. I feel like we're ready for a new Stargate show. So I'm sure that's going to be probably at least a couple of years down the road, but I'm hoping that when they pull the trigger on that they actually do justice to the existing shows.
Right.
Well, I know there were complaints among fandoms, but I really enjoyed the cover they did with Wheel of Time. I thought they did a good job with it. When they took over The Expanse, I thought they did a really good job with The Expanse as well. The last couple of seasons of The Expanse, I thought they did a really good job as well. So there is hope there that they can do it well. That when they do decide to do a new Stargate series, that they'll get people in there like some of the creators who worked on SG-1 and so on and do it right.
They're just going to give it to Akiva Goldsman.
No.
Yeah, but it's going to be exciting to see, and it's interesting to see, like, I feel like growing up, a lot of these franchises, they had money behind them, but it wasn't like crazy money. Like Star Trek was always, it was decently well funded, but it wasn't like billions of dollars well funded. But now that science fiction and like nerd things are popular, these things are getting much bigger budgets than they ever got. And I almost miss like the quaintness of older science fiction shows.
You mean like Stargate?
Exactly. Yeah. Like part of the reason I like Stargate so much is that it's got that 90s, like you could see where the budget was going feel. And when you have
you can still see the seams on the sets. Exactly. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's endearing. I love that kind of thing.
But no boom mics in the frame or anything, as far as I know. I don't think we've seen anything like that.
Not yet. No.
No.
Just what was it? Zippers, unitard.
Yeah.
That's canon, by the way. If they ever bring those aliens back, they have to have the zippers.
Yeah.
That's right.
We can go on Reddit and complain about it.
With an 8-episode arc explaining why they have zippers on their back.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so 2020s of you.
Yeah.
It's not actually zippers. It's how they actually connect to the plant. It's like an antenna that goes down their back to how they connect to the
fibrous
plant.
antenna.
Yeah.
Y'all sure you're not writing for these shows?
We haven't talked about feeling molecules, which is a Discovery reference. Awesome. Anyways, the episode we are discussing today is the 6th season of episode 3, or 6th episode of season 3, Point of View. Alternate Sam and Kowalski go through their quantum mirror, narrowly escaping as the Apophis takes over Earth. They are apprehended at Area 51, where the mirror was being housed, and taken to the SGC for interrogation. We learn that in this alternate timeline, Sam and Jack are married, Daniel and Teal'c are not part of SG-1, Jack was dead, and Kowalski was not dead. Alt Sam begins to experience entropic cascade failure, which is exactly what it sounds like. The team decides to help Sam and Kowalski to contact the Asgard in their universe in hopes that they can defeat against the Gold. They and SG-1 go through the mirror with the power booster device that the Asgard previously used to power the gate. In the alternate timeline, they run into an evil Teal'c with an evil soul patch, as well as a triumphant and goateed Apophis. Alt Sam is able to bring the Asgard in the nick of time and stop the Goa'uld invasion, and SG-1 is able to return to their universe. Yep.
Yeah.
It was a fun episode. I liked it.
This really was. I forgot, how much I enjoyed it. But once start watching and start getting the interactions and everything. It was this was a fun one, and I think it was done really well. For an alternate universe story, I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like when you're going to do an alternate universe story, it's something that you have to have a little bit of backstory before you can jump into that kind of thing, because you need to have those contrasts there. Like, one of my biggest problems with early Next Generation is that they did the Naked Time episode. I can't remember if it's Naked Time or Naked Now, the riff off of the original series episode, as the second episode of the season. And seeing characters behaving not how they're supposed to be is not interesting when you don't know the characters. So I like that they waited until later on in the show to bring in this kind of story.
Right.
And also, this was it's a big one for the Sam and Jack ship. So I know you're looking forward to that, Lisa.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Second time, second alternate universe, second time we've seen Sam and Jack married. Yeah. I mean, what's not to enjoy there?
I think I heard the squeak all the way up here. Not kidding.
Yeah. I really like this episode too. I think it is one of the better, mirror universe, fiction episodes that we've seen. And there's some really good, comedy beats in this episode too. Courtesy of the director, Peter DeLuise. I'm just wondering, is like, when the mirror universes does watch Star Trek, do they only get like the Terran Empire episodes, and then like once every 3 seasons they cross over to where like the Terrans are the good guys? I don't know.
And all the Federation look like, weak-kneed, silly fools.
It's like the reverse of that, yeah.
Well, at least this isn't like a like the Terran Empire type episode where it's, evil Sam and evil, Kowalski. It's they're still good people. They're still the same people, just in a little bit different situations.
Right. And they address that with the whole infinite universes theory, where every single decision you make branches off into another universe. And so I feel like it's really much more of a plausible, at least from a fiction standpoint, kind of alternate universe where you get these little variations between the different universes. And we see that later on with the remote control that they're using to split between they're basically the different channels of the universe with the quantum mirror. Whereas with the mirror universe episodes that you were referencing for Star Trek, Victor, it's they're fun episodes, but they're so improbable that if you try to think about them for even a second, they break apart. It's like, so the universe is so different that everything is evil, but the ship still looks the same. It's still named the Enterprise, and all these same people still somehow end up in the same place. So I definitely like this kind of alternate universe more.
Yeah. And I do love how they took time to explain the technology. It's like, oh, if you turn the big dial, like it makes big huge jumps between like realities. But if you turn the small dial, you can dial in just small jumps between the realities and stuff too. Yeah. And I do like how they hang out a lantern on the evil twin thing with the line, no evil twins. That'd be a cliche. And we all know how I feel about those that Jack gives.
Wait,
yeah.
And then he says, wait,
Jack,
you know how I feel about cliches. You don't know.
Yeah. Ladies, Sams, we're all in this reality together.
Yeah.
You just agree with yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good, good humor in this episode.
I did like it. It was neat to see Amanda Tapping play her character, both Sams, but she did it. She managed to find ways to differentiate them besides the hair. Right.
Yeah. She did a really good job with that. Yeah.
Great job of that.
Yeah.
I mean, they had very few scenes where they were like side by side. But when they, like, especially the technobabble, the science stuff at the end where they're trying to figure out how to make the little, what was it, like a generator or something, make it work so they could dial the Asgard. I mean, they're just so excited, like talking to each other. And you just kind of forgot for a moment that it's not two actresses. It's one actress having to do it multiple times differently. So I figure that's the sign of a good actress for me, that she was able to do it so seamlessly.
Yeah.
And the awkward expression on Major Carter's face when they're kissing at the end. It's just like, oh, felt sorry for her. Yeah. Awkward.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned like the ship about all this. But what's funny is, so this is the second time they've done it. And it's the second time Jack and Sam have been in a relationship in the alternate universe. But they don't then all of a sudden the next episode be like Jack with his Sam going, well, hey, maybe there's something about. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just,
Jack's,
it's just, well, I mean, till like season 4, but, or 100 days, or, you've got a little ways, right? But I like that they put these little nuggets, these little kind of like they're just going to treat the fans who care about this stuff, just a little bit and then leave it alone. So it doesn't make it a soap opera. It doesn't make it this drama with romance and relation. It doesn't deviate from the point of Stargate. It's just a little extra, right?
Yeah.
And they drop it and they pick it up and they drop it. And I don't know. I think that's one of the reasons I like it, because it's not about the relationship. It's just a little icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You don't spend the next episode talking and for half the episode about their relationship and.
What do you think? Maybe we should do something. Maybe we should go out. Yeah. No.
Jack can compartmentalize, which I think on a lot of shows they're just unable to compartmentalize their feelings and their job and stuff. It's just everything has to bleed over into every other aspect of their life, right? So, but Jack's a professional,
I guess. Well, and Carter,
yes, her too.
Yes.
her too.
I did like the scene, like right after Jack visits Dr. Sam in her quarters and she's crying and she has the picture of her Jack up and they hug and he walks out and he immediately runs into Prime Carter. And she's like oblivious, just talking about like how weird this is. And you could just like realize how awkward that would be, that I just hugged you in the other room and now here you are type thing.
Yeah.
So I think that scene was.
How are you handling all this? And she's just like, like, how long do you have? And he's like, okay, we can talk. And she's like, no, I don't really want to talk to you. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like how, like, how quippy and, off the cuff Jack can be about things, but I do like how it seemed like he understood that his role there was to be kind of to give the alternate Sam closure with her husband who had died. Like he just really needed to be there so she could vent. And I liked how he played that character there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all of the awkwardness.
Yeah.
But didn't run.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like in later seasons, they play him a little more obtuse, right? Like he's clueless as to the feelings of another character. But in this, you're right. He got it. They had him as the person interacted. And what is really interesting in this episode is how little we see of Kowalski.
Yeah.
He really didn't have I don't want to say a point, but he just, it was more about the Sams.
In the movie and on the show, when he was on the show, he didn't really do much either. He was just there to be like, like I mentioned in our first episode, like, the guy on the squad is like, just the squatty there who's there with the captain, right? And is going to support him in his one day from retirement, and all that stuff. So,
yep.
So he was true to character.
I think it was just a fun way to bring back a character that the fans would immediately recognize. And you get that fun, like, cold open which this is another thing that I don't like about modern TV shows is because everything is so, like, plot-centric, built around a season-long arc. You never get these fun episodes where you just get dropped into a scene and you get this cold open and it's completely different from what you're expecting and you don't know, and then you get that little bit and then they cut to the intro. You don't get that anymore. And that's what I like about these old 90s science fiction shows is you get those fun little scenes. But it's just fun to see them at the beginning. Like you got Sam there and you've got Kowalski and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. Why is Kowalski here? Why does Sam have long hair?
Yeah, and then they're in Area 51, and they have the gamekeepers. Pod is there, and the Gould Communications. It's like their prop room for the show. Is what Area 51 is.
Basically, and it probably was. That's the funny part. He literally probably was their prop room. I think I saw the Ark of the Covenant in the back there somewhere.
Yep.
No, I'm kidding.
For the time, I mean, the two Sam like scenes where there's the two Sams interacting, that was done very well because this wasn't when you would have like motion tracked, computer composited shots and stuff. And it doesn't look like you stay on your side of the frame and I'll stay on my side of the frame. And there weren't a lot of like obvious like body doubles either where they just show the back of someone's head and like the physique is completely different. And there's one moment where Dr. Sam turns on the generator that Sam is holding. And she just reaches over and like interacts with the prop. And I watched that like 4 times. And I'm like, wow, this is really well done.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because last night I actually watched the TNG episode Data Lore, which is the first one where you see Data and Lore together. And the composited scenes where you see them both together are so obvious. Like there's this scene where it's both of them walking very slowly down a hallway and they make very sure to not cross that center line right there. And there's just so many things like that. And that was late 80s, I think. But with this one, I noticed where you've got that same kind of scene where they're walking down a hallway together, but they're not really worried about getting across that line where the filming is going to be. And then they have a part where alternate Carter walks, and it almost seems deliberate just to show that they could do it, where she walks across the frame in front of Prime Sam. And so it was fun to see that, especially in comparison to some older techniques they'd done.
Yeah. Well, I had to look it up because this was this was 3 years after Forrest Gump. And so 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, 5 years, 5 years after Forrest Gump. So if you remember how revolutionary that was, where he was able to, shake JFK's hand and walk around as he's doing it. And so they were able to use some of that technology, I bet, for this. It was far enough along now that it was cheap enough that they could do it as part of the series, especially for just a one-off episode like this, for a couple of effects. And there were some spots like they're standing in the hallway and it's very clearly, okay, she's on this side, she does her lines, goes, changes, comes back out, does this side, does her lines, with somebody there to kind of.
Yeah, we get some scenes in Atlantis, late in Atlantis, where there's 2 McKays. And they are actually interacting while the camera is kind of like rotating around them, just to show like kind of in 6 or 7 years how far the technology will evolve.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to see like the different camera tricks and all that kind of stuff that they can do.
One dad joke I did appreciate. Your hair's kind of grown on me.
Yeah.
And just, it was a good line. Like it was a good line, and Amanda Tapping delivered it like perfectly. So as a dad, I give that 2 thumbs up.
Nice.
That's funny.
Or 4 thumbs if you're with your alternate universe.
Oh yes,
yes.
Where's that guy?
Yeah.
Does the
now just remember we did learn what Cree means. Means attention or yoo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo, yeah.
Is it kind of like aloha?
I gotta know
a lot of things.
All this time, like Jack's like, what does it mean? I'm like, it's been 3 years.
Yeah. I just love how it's like in the most high tension moment of the episode, and Jack turns and he goes like, "I gotta know, what does Kree mean?" Yeah.
I feel like that was a bit of Peter DeLuise, his voice coming through, probably just speaking to the writers of the show. Like, what does this even mean?
Yeah. Why are you saying this? Okay. My favorite moment though is Teal'c with the whole, so which reality, our reality is the only one that matters. And he's got reason with his,
which is the real
self,
reality.
and he can't. And so he just shoots him. It's like,
Yeah, the idea was to zap him, and he goes, "Our reality is the only one of consequence,"
which is happens a lot of. That's a big can of worms to open with his inner psyche. Like, I almost feel like the whole is he so loathsome against his former self serving Apophis that he wants to kill himself? Like, I think Teal'c needs to go to therapy.
Yeah, this is
paging Dr. Freud. Paging Dr. Freud.
I don't think he needs to now. Now that he's actually murdered his past self, he's probably the most like mentally well-adjusted person on the planet.
Now, can we say though he looked pretty good with the long soul patch?
Yeah, that was a good look.
Yeah, we'll see that in a year, right? We'll see that next season a little bit.
But it was different. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stick around long.
Apophis again, which is always kind of fun when he makes an appearance.
Especially even more evil Apophis with the goatee. Because if Spock with the goatee is evil Spock, then was goatee Apophis less evil?
I mean, he was not any more competent than Prime Apophis. So
there you go.
That's true.
Yeah. This goatee goes to 11.
Yeah.
That one took me a
it's
minute.
one more
I'm like
evil.
looking at him and I'm like, what are you doing there?
Yeah.
What is that choice?
Yeah, it does open up a lot of interesting questions with the quantum mirror. And just knowing that after flipping through all these different universes, like you're one of the few universes where Earth was not overtaken by the gold. Like, it's got to be a fairly depressing prospect to think about.
Ours is the only reality of consequence.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is, if they actually believe that, they would have just like fired up the mirror, shoved Dr. Sam through it, and shut it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. New Stargate series.
Yeah.
Traveling through the quantum mirror to save, since our reality was beat the gold. Now they go through the quantum mirror and beat the gold in other universes because they can.
Isn't that just sliders?
Yeah, sliders.
Yeah, and
I'm not disagreeing with you. That's awesome. But...
Or since it's 2020s, they go through the quantum mirror, abduct people who can help them fight the gold in this reality, and pull them through the mirror, like Benjamin Franklin or Mozart and Joan of Arc. They just go through the mirror and grab them and bring them into our reality and help them pass their history
and
assignment.
They use a phone box.
Yeah. I'm still workshopping it.
I like this idea.
Yeah.
Be excellent to each other.
Right. A great show.
Oh yeah, I totally missed the joke there. Yeah, Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I was just thinking of that terrible movie on Amazon. Speaking of Amazon, that has Chris Pratt in it, where it's like in like 50 years in the future, and there's a war with aliens who have invaded, so they decide to go back in time.
The Forever War? Or?
Yeah, that one. And they get...
Or the Tomorrow War, or whatever.
Forever War, Tomorrow War. And they bring back people from our past to fight the aliens, but it's just like Joe Schmo. I'm like, you have time travel and this is what you're going to do with it?
Yeah.
Bring in Alexander the Great. Yeah, bring in Napoleon.
Storm and Norman Schwarzkopf. I mean, come on.
Hulk Hogan, yeah.
They jump through that quantum mirror awful fast to go, like you said, all these other alternate universes have failed, right? Like seriously failed. And they're just going to be like, let's just go. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's the initial scene where Daniel is learning how to use the device and he's flipping through it. And I guess the conceit is that once it turns off, it doesn't save its previous settings, which I feel like you can buy a $5 universal remote from Dollar General and you can program your presets in there. I feel like this device that controls a quantum mirror should at least have that much functionality.
It's analog. It's like tuning an analog radio. You're never going to get the station perfectly tuned in.
It's not a binary thing. It's a like a wave.
And that's what I was thinking over, talking about, tune in, coarse tuning and fine tuning, those old analog radios where you crank the big dial and it goes really fast. Then you crank the little dial just a little tiny bit each way,
If we had a preset, we nenever would have gotten to see Captain Carter. No, Major. Wait, which one?
Doctor. Oh yeah, it just had Captain on it. Yeah.
There's
Daniel's all like, "See you later."
Sorry, wrong one.
Yeah, I hope your Daniel makes it back from like other reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They should have had some sort of like complex like QR code kind of like design where it's like if these match up, then we know it's the exact right one.
Right.
Yeah.
Something like a big something in that closet.
I was gonna say just have Major Carter holding a sign. Yes, this is the right one.
Yeah.
And then there would be 3 of them and trying to figure out which was the right one.
Yes. This is the right one. Yes. This is the right one. Yeah. Get those little
dash.
Yeah.
It's a grammar challenge. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. There's a foreshadowing of something that's much more important when we start talking about Atlantis. And that is when they're in the alternate universe and they call the Asgard, they dial 8 symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they did that in the brain sucking episode too, or the where Jack, the 5th race, they dialed 8 symbols. Yeah, I did notice that.
So that's something that they develop later or they mention later that the 8th symbol is to another galaxy. That if you do 8 symbols instead of 7, it goes to another galaxy. But of course, it needs a lot more power, and that's how we end up with Atlantis eventually in 4 seasons.
Nice.
It's after the 7th season, right?
I think so.
I do love Jack's description of the Asgard when Dr. Sam is like, oh, after all this time, we're going to be saved by little green men. And he goes, gray, actually, Roswell gray.
Yeah.
What about when Dr. Carter says, "For crying out loud"?
Yeah. Oh
yeah. That was a nice subtle thing that they put in there.
Yeah.
You get
lots of subtle things in this.
Mm-hmm.
When Jack first knocks on Dr. Carter's door when she's sad and she goes, just leave it on the, leave it and just shut the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when Jack's in there and, someone comes in, he says the exact same thing, which I thought was nice.
Yep.
We haven't talked about General Hammond being tortured.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We get to see that here. And I like that he stands up to it and he holds out through it and
yeah.
He gets double zatted, but then he gets brought back, which is nice to see.
And is that the first time we've seen that
torture stick?
Torture stick, yeah.
I think it might be the first time we've seen it.
According to the wiki, this is the first time we see the Rod of Anguish, which is a good metal band name.
That's what it's called. The Rod
especially if your name is Rod.
Yeah.
I like torture stick better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Sesame Stick, but painful.
They must have been watching Star Trek with the pain stick.
Oh yeah,
that was
ceremony.
Yeah, it was nice to see him get a little action there, and then be fine.
Yeah,
but he's not in this much. I mean, a little bit, but he's not in it very much at all. So either version of Hammond.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He gets a line about how she has to go back because having someone from an alternate reality here is just not right.
Right.
He does get he's like,
he
it's
said
not
he
right.
wasn't comfortable with it. Remember that it wasn't right, and that they what was it? Jack was saying how having 2 Carters in one place and the IQ of the planet just went up exponentially.
It just doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
Some things just weren't meant to be.
I liked that part because Carter wasn't there, so he was not complimenting her to her face, but he was just showing how highly he thought of her.
Mm-hmm.
So I also do like the part where both the Sams are bringing in the generator device and explaining that it's working now and all that, and he's just like, "Stop! Does it work?" Like just cuts through all the techno battle.
Is there an alternate universe where I understand what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, and action star Amanda Tapping in this one. like when she jumps through the gate at the end to go to the Asgard galaxy. Like I watched that a few times just to make sure. I was like, oh, is like at what point do they cut to the stunt double? And they don't. It's just
it's
her running across the gate room and diving through the gate. Yeah.
And we have another episode where Daniel Jackson doesn't get a whole heck of a lot to do.
Yeah, he gets to say that he's part of the team, and that's it.
Yeah. But he gets to control the remote. He gets to control the remote. And like, seriously, what guy, like, you know, wouldn't be happy with that?
Yeah.
He gets to flip through channels.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch some TV while.
Well, you just pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
It also makes me wonder, and I'm pretty sure that they don't really go into using the quantum mirror at all later on in the show, or not very much, because they talk about that early on where Kowalski asks, like, did you guys not mess around with it in your timeline? Like, you feel like that's a whole nother show in of itself. Like, you don't have a ring that jumps through time, but you have a mirror that jumps through realities. Like, there's a lot.
Sliders.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Sliders.
They're like, we found so much cool stuff. We don't need to mess with that one.
Yeah.
And I think it's because in the prime reality, they lost the remote or something, or it didn't go through the gate with them or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Daniel just left it in the mirror universe, or
I think so too.
And then Hammond says, I want it destroyed when you guys get back. So presumably it's been destroyed.
Yeah.
Or has it? Has it? I don't recall.
I don't remember that we see it again. I could be wrong.
No, I don't think so.
According to the wiki, it does come up again later. But
okay.
Well, we will get to that at some point.
Oh, the entropic cascade failure effect. I thought that was actually pretty cool. Like, considering the time and stuff, like having her head come out of her head and go like, that was pretty neat.
I gotta say, it really took me out of the story because it was I just found it comedic. And so I feel like you got all this emotional tension built up with the alternate Sam and everything she's going through. And then her face starts like shooting all over the place. Like, it just, I don't know. It didn't do it for me.
It had to be sciencey looking. They couldn't just have her like hold up a picture and she's like fading out on the picture or something.
Or like have a zap effect, like say Doctor Who. Oh, I mean,
yeah.
It's how to play Johnny Be Good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is this the last time we see Kowalski? I know we say that every time.
I think so.
Let's see here.
I'm not sure.
I think so. I don't recall him coming back after this.
I'll have to check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
the
it
internet.
live, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it live. He is on General Hospital. No, he's on The Gamekeeper, The Enemy Within, and Mobius Part 2. So he's in,
which is
that's
8th season.
End of season 8. Yeah.
So we have 5 seasons before we get to see him again.
Yeah. And that's alternate reality too, and that's a fun one. Well, no, it's not really alternate reality. It's messed up timeline.
Yeah.
He alternate timeline, not the alternate reality, people.
I know they describe alternate realities as being every decision you make in a timeline fractures that timeline into a different reality. But in reality, it's a different timeline.
No, you did do it right. But actually,
well,
yeah.
Now that we've offended everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
We're making fun of ourselves. It's okay.
Yeah, we are. We kid. We kid.
We're actually geeks. So I mean,
Hey, did you notice that one of the Jaffa looks like Larry the Cable Guy?
I did not.
Yeah, go back and watch it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Larry, Cree.
Don't get zatted in the first place.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I didn't. So you know how Peter DeLuise does a cameo in most of his episodes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking because I didn't see him. And he was
here.
He was a voice.
Yeah. No, he was the interviewer.
Yeah, interviewer. Yeah. But it says just voice. But do we see him?
We don't see him at all, no.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch because I completely forgot to look for him.
Yeah, on the video where they're showing Sam's initial interrogation when she's at Area 51.
Oh gosh, do you wish that every time you had to watch a replay of a video of something, like someone being interviewed, you could have like what General Hammond did? So Dr. Carter's talking, and he pauses it, right? Lights come on, he pauses it, and then they're talking, and they're like, "Oh, but what about this?" And he's like, "Oh," he just pushes play, and she answers the question. Like they didn't have to listen.
Yeah.
To all
That was
the,
pretty cool. Yeah.
You know, talky in the middle, like no fast forward. It's just queued it up. I
He was ready for that.
was like, man, that would be. Can we do that in meetings?
Yeah, that's about it.
Oh, and I did like the scene too, and all the where all the Jaffa run away through the Stargate. But I think they could have like sped up the footage, and it would have been like a little funnier if they
Get that yakety sax playing. in the
sax,
background.
Yeah.
And then the episode just kind of ends. They kiss, and he says, "Wow, you're a really lousy kisser compared to my Jack." And he's like, "Sorry, I get that a lot in this reality. I am a horrible kisser. I'm Jack O'Neill, the colonel of the Stargate."
Oh, that's awesome.
And then it just ends.
Yeah. It's awkward.
Uh-huh.
What do you say after that?
Yeah. She says, "I just wish," and I think it was going to be like, "I wish you were just a better kisser," and then the episode ends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I wish you were MacGyver.
Yeah.
Wah,
I wish-
wah,
yeah.
wah.
No, it is an odd place to like end because they don't actually go back through the mirror. Jack doesn't talk to, Prime Sam or anything, and like you say, it doesn't come back up. Like, are we going to talk about other Sam? No, we're not.
I think that's just the.
But they did to make sure that meaningful close up on her where she's kind of biting her lip, going, "This is awkward."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then Daniel and Teal'c like kind of move in front of the mirror and turn their backs, and I'm like, are they just like blocking it so Sam can't see Jack as other Sam? But then they put their hands on the mirror and go through. But at first, the way it's staged, it's like, oh, they're just blocking it so Sam can't see.
Yeah.
They're turning their back. They can have privacy.
Yeah.
No, and then next week
Other
is,
Sam's kind of like,
an episode. It's like a, what do you call it? Just like a Planet of the Week episode, isn't it? So we don't.
Dead Man Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't come back, and there's no discussion of this. It's that's it.
And I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword there with the way TV was done in the early late 90s, where you get these kind of big character moments, but then you don't really revisit them, which I honestly, if given the choice between season-long arcs of people dealing with their emotional pain or Planet of the Week, I would take Planet of the Week over that.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh when you said emotional pain. I was like,
yeah.
Long, drawn out. Yeah.
With Stargate, we get like big technological moments, and it's the technology that comes back, not the character moments that come back. So
From R2.
I'm good with that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I have a daughter who ships Martooth and Sam, so
No.
yeah, those were big episodes in our house.
Nice. Awesome. Did y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
So in the alternate universe, they show the mothership landing, and it's the same footage from the alternate universe, the first alternate universe episode. So they're reusing footage. It's probably actually like the same literal footage, like literally the same screen, the same, just take that out and put it back in.
At least they didn't dial Abydos in this episode. They did show the 8th symbol and stuff, and
and I got a kick out of the guest quarters. I think I had very similar furniture to that when I was in the Air Force. It looks like a pretty stereotypical Air Force bed and stuff like that.
Yeah,
did you have the same throw pillows? Because those were nice throw pillows.
That was some
No, I didn't
stuff.
quite have that nice of.
And the picture behind the bed, and yeah, my girls were watching with me, and they were like, "What was wrong?" Like, the 90s are hip now, but not that bedding.
Yeah.
Just not bring back those terrible acid wash jeans.
Oh, those are.
I think they are coming back, aren't they?
Unfortunately.
And the whole pleated mom jean things. Oh yeah, completely.
Wow.
Yep. Fun times. All right, we do have some feedback from our listeners.
Yay.
This is Dan on Facebook. He was talking about our question to our audience about what would you like to see in a new reboot of Stargate, and he agrees with you, Victor, that the idea of putting out a show like where you got kids jumping through the gate and kind of like it almost reminds me of kind of like Stranger Things or the new Star Trek Prodigy show. Like you get these people who are kind of fish out of water thrown into that technology, brought in. But he also wonders, what would you do in terms of like with the advancing technology in this universe, like so basically does Stargate not turn just into Star Trek? And I think that would be something you have to deal with, but I feel like there's different ways we could handle that.
Yeah, a lot of really good ideas in his feedback too, about having like, the military being at first the enemy, but then actually looking out for these kids and stuff too. So it's really thank you very much for the excellent feedback there.
Yeah. And then there you could have like the sliders type idea where they're bouncing from planet to planet. They're not coming back to Earth every time.
And he mentioned he'd like to see a message sent by a McKay who's out in space avoiding the Tari because of the issues with the infiltration. And that's not something that I personally understand yet because I've not gotten to those
not there yet.
But I like shows that kind of bring in those old threads from previous shows, but also keep it fresh. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that acquisition by MGM.
There's a lot of hope out there online when that was announced. I saw a lot of it on Twitter. People very excited about the possibility.
Yeah, we appreciate that feedback, Dan. And if anyone else would like to reach out to us, we did actually make sure that the link there on Stargate on sqpn.com, the email stargate@sqpn.com works. So if y'all have any thoughts on that, please feel free to reach out to us. And we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including Teresa N., Samuel C., Ian S., Nick W., and Jude H. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. And to find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, Dead Man Switch. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. And all we needed was the decay rate of Naquadah relative to the energy output.
And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?